Right, welcome to the first upload for my new channel, What a Load of Bull. My name's Tom Bull, hence the channel name. This is my daily 2001 M35 Nissan Stagea. Done lots to it already, had it about a year now. Got an oil leak, so I'm hoping it's the rocker cover gaskets, because that's what we're going to change today. First thing I'm going to do is get the bumper off, get it up on some ramps, give it a good clean, start taking it apart. General tools, 8mm, 10mm, 14mm, 12mm, jugger, speeds things up, not essential, but yeah, here we go. So to get the bumper off, I'm going to use one of these little trim tools, do the 4 poppers across the top, and then there's a 10mm nut or 10mm bolt tucked away in here. So I'm going to go do those first, then do the poppers, then get it off. Right, I'm up on the ramps now. Deliberately didn't film that because it's always a bit sketchy. I put it into snow mode, so 50-50 front to back drive, helps crawl up the ramps a bit better. Here is the VQ25DET. So it's a V6 Neo turbo, same engine family as the 350Z. Mine's a little bit more busy. I've converted it to run on LPG. I'm going to do a walk around of that in another video. So yeah, here is the engine bay. I'm pretty sure that the leak is coming down from this far corner of the rocker cover. Have got both gaskets, one for each side. Once we've taken a bit more off, I'll decide whether we do both today or not. But so yeah, first thing I'm going to do, get some stuff out of the way, then get some degreaser all over everything that's oily, give it a pressure wash, and then really start taking it apart. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the airbox and air intake. The main one holding it onto the turbo or the intake is 8mm, which is just in there. So I'm using a wobble extension on another one. The other ones, like this one, these are all 10mm. So I think I'll try leaving the MAF and the housing in place for now. That all came up okay. It's just one of these little clips going to the breather pipe, so I'm going to use some like vice grips type styly thing. Don't need to take this one off, so just leave that one in situ. And I did have to take off the boost return, which I've got on a little elbow there, but you've probably got a stock port. Next I'm going to get the BOV or the recirc valve piping off. I'm just going to do the clip in there and the clip there under these ones. These are 10s, these are 12s, and then I can get that off all in one. I'm just trying to keep as much stuff together in one piece as possible to make rebuilding quicker. So again, just going to use some long nose vice grips on these clips. I've got one here, one there on the actual recirc valve that I can get to now that bracket's out of the way. These were custom silicone pipes. There are a few more available if anyone's interested. Comment below, I can put you in touch with the guy who's got them for sale. So next bits I'm going to do is sort out some of these vacuum lines. I'm going to try and be strategic on it. I think I'm going to take off this one and this one, disconnect the gasket injectors from this bracket, and then I'm hoping I can get most of this plenum, throttle body, intake part all off in one. Again, just to speed up the rebuild. I've had it all apart before when I did the gas conversion, so I kind of know how it all slots together and what bits I can get away with keeping them together. You will see a lot of zip tie engineering throughout my car. Permanent brackets to follow. Almost there. So got the boost solenoid out the way, gas injectors disconnected. I've kept both of their brackets on the plenum. This big pipe in the middle, that's the crankcase breather, so I've taken that one off. Got to take off the one for the map sensors. These two at the back, one's for the fuel regulator, one's for something similar, so they've got to come off. You probably won't have one of these. This is flash lube. This is to do with the LPG system. So right when I've got everything undone, before I take it off, I'll disconnect that and then reconnect it quickly so I don't make even more mess in here. Right, I'm about to undo all the bolts going from the plenum to the intake runner. That's these 12mm head. So far all the bits and pieces I've just been stuck in a little pot. I generally know where everything goes, but seeing as these go in a specific place, I've just got a bit of cardboard. What I'm going to do is put all the bolts in the holes that I've kind of worked out where they should be. That way when it comes to putting it back together, I know which one's going in the right hole. Before that as well, I'll work out the torque specs that I need for each one, and also the order of tightness if there is one. I'll scribble that on here, and then it will be nice and easy when I'm out here putting it all back together. So got all the main bolts out, almost ready to go. I've undone the Jubilee around that bit, little 8mm socket, and then there's this bracket, where are we, here, 10mm, that's holding the plenum there. So I'm going to get that out and it should all just fly off. Yeah, more hidden gems. There was another 10mm on here where I'm pointing, and then there's this breather pipe or pressure pipe for the brake booster. So I think with that off, it should be good to fly out. Right, almost there. I think we're on the final one now. Tucked away down here somewhere, another 10mm bolt, but then it should all come out. Right, boom, all that off in one, leaving the runners. So yeah, there's the brake booster pipe, throttle body, and then there's the map sensor there for the boost gauge. So yeah, gonna tidy this up a bit, have a look at the gas, maybe shorten some of these, get it all a bit out the way. I'm gonna cover up the holes here with some masking tape just to stop anything falling in there, because that would be a day ruiner. So I just gave flanger a bit of a scrape, got rid of the mastic. Gonna wipe it down a bit with some of these screw fix wipes, give it a quick hoover with my mate Henry, make sure nothing or anything that did fall down, I don't think it did, but just in case we can get rid of that, and then seal it up with some masking tape before carrying on. So doing alright so far, I think. Disconnected the gas injector loom. I wanted to reroute that anyway as part of today's mission. I think what I'm about to do now is take off the under tray, which is a couple of 10mm, some of those trim pieces, and obviously some zip ties. With that out the way, I'm going to chuck loads of degreaser sort of all down around the back, give it a good pressure wash, and then start going even further to get the actual rocker covers off. Actually seems more dry in the corner than I was expecting, so even if it isn't the rocker cover gasket, maybe with all this out of the way we'll be able to see what is actually leaking everywhere. You can see with both the under trays off, loads of oil. It hasn't been dripping too much, but it seems to be seeping. Best nipping in the bud, because this oil is expensive and I don't want to keep topping it up. Doesn't appear to be anything to do with the filter or the sump bolt. It's all nice there, but you can see the subframe's all wet. It seems to be all over the rack as well. So I'm going to get the degreaser out, get it on there, let it soak for a bit, give it a blast, and then carry on. Just thought I'd show you another angle. So this is looking back, from the back looking towards the front. Got the greaser everywhere, but you can probably see anything that's moist, that was all oily. So hopefully give it a blast and then keep going from the top. So I've blocked the intake, I've blocked the recirc valve port, and stuck the other end of that bag into the MAF just so that no water gets in there. We're going to be blasting sort of down here on the back of the engine, and also underneath where we saw the degreaser. Right, so giving it a good blast all down there. Been really careful obviously, because water and engine bays aren't all that good. Looking cleaner down here, gonna let it drip dry. Look, some of this run away a bit and then start taking covers off in a bit. Time for coffee. Right, I let that dry for 10 minutes or so. I think I am pretty committed. I'm just going to do this rocker cover. I'm not going to bother with the other side because that looks dry on that half the engine underneath. So what I'm going to do is get injector loom off. I'm going to disconnect this bank for the gas injectors. I'm just going to leave them as is, get this pipe out of the way, get rid of this heat wrap. That should free up the loom a little bit more as well, so I can get that out of the way and then get out all the bolts for the rocker cover. Just as I did for the intake plenum, I'm going to put them all in order on a bit of card, and then that should make it easier when we come to put it all back together. So I think I managed to get away with just disconnecting this lot. So this is the original injector and general engine bay loom. We've got the splice here which goes to the gas ECU, and all of this I think I can just hold out the way while I get the rocker cover off. Next point is I'm going to get out the coil packs. I'm going to label these as to which one came from which hole, and I'm also going to check the plugs because I'm not sure what plugs are in here or what the condition are, and I know that cylinder 6 is prone to failing, so I think that would be a good one to have a check of while we're in here. So here's the plug from cylinder 6, NGK Iridium, so that's good. It doesn't look too old. It is a focus. I'll put in the description what type it is. Looks a little bit oily. I've got some pictures of this, so I'm going to do some research. Maybe someone can comment. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but I'll look into that. But it might be that we need to replace these soon, and we'll be taking this all apart all over again. Right, I'm going to pop this back in before I take the rocker cover off, just so that if anything falls, it's not going to fall down into the cylinder and mash up some valves. Right, got the plug back in. I'm then taking out the rocker cover bolts. I've got the top two there, laying them out in my bit of card. But one awkward one down in here, in the bottom corner. Really don't want to interrupt this. This is the heater pipe. This is for coolant, which spurs off to go to the gas regulators. I don't want to disconnect that. I don't need any more water. So I'm hoping that just a couple of extensions should be able to get in there and get to that 10mm. So yeah, ended up having to get right up on top of the engine and come at it from this way. I got rid of that horrible heat deflector. I've got some posh Velcro stuff to put onto there. I think that's the most awkward one. I spotted I've missed a bracket over here, but I'm sure that won't be any trouble. So hopefully a few more bolts and it will just fly out. So I think that was all the bolts, all the rocker cover bolts. Like I said, I've done it in a similar bit of card, so I know where they all came from. They're all actually the same length, but good idea to do it anyway. Either did them with normal 10mm on the jigger, or I used a wobble extension and a little socket from my son's toolkit to get to some of the more awkward ones, but really wasn't too much drama. I think now I'm just going to be wrestling against the old silicone that's holding it on at the moment, so hopefully it will just fly off, but who knows. Alright, so that took a little bit of persuading. I used a long flat head down the edge of the rocker gasket, pried it up a bit, then got a pry bar in the other end and it kind of popped up, so hopefully that's broken the seal. I know the previous owner had done it. He'd done the gasket and the and sealed it as well, so it was clearly stuck around this way, but I'm pretty sure the leak was coming from over there. So right, came off, so it doesn't look too bad in there. I'm not actually sure where it's leaking from. I know that this corner is the weak point. When I took out the bolt holding this one, this was all oily, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to give this a good clean up, get some silicone in this groove, and get the new gasket on there. I'm also going to give it a bit of a clean up. Doesn't look too bad in here. Maybe someone else can comment and tell me otherwise, but from my untrained eye it looks alright. So hopefully it's pretty straightforward. Get it back together and then maybe we've solved the oil leak. So yeah, just giving the rocker cover a good clean, got rid of the old gasket. Now I'm going to go around and scratch it up with this gross Stanley blade, but it's the only one I can find. So yeah, just going to get rid of all the old black silicone, give it a little bit of a hoover if there's any bits that have fallen in there. You can see a couple bits, but generally looks pretty good. So I don't know, if you know better and want to give me any advice or any warnings or things that you're spotting that I don't know about, please do, because I will catch it out before we have any major problems. Right, I think that's looking pretty good now. I'm going to go around it, give it a wipe and get the hoover in there just to suck up some of those bits which have fallen in. But yeah, pretty good. Use the Stanley blade for a lot of it, and then use this big flathead as a chisel for the rest of it. It seems to come up pretty quick. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is use some of this black silicone gasket maker. It's meant for stuff with oil. It goes up to like 250 degrees, so it should be hot enough. So I'm going to put that all in here. Then I'm going to stick in the gasket, let that go off for a bit, and then I'm going to go around the flange of the rocker cover, or on the engine side of it, with some more silicone, and yeah, go from there. So hopefully you can see, got a nice bead of black silicone in the groove. I'm going to slot the gasket in there now and just let that cure go off for a bit. Right, that's in, wasn't too fiddly, didn't seem too long, it all slotted in okay. Giving it a good squidge, and I've wiped off any excess silicone that's going to squirt into the cover, and just tried to make it a bit tidy as possible for when I come to actually clamp it down. So now I'm going to apply a real fine bead all the way around the edge of the head side of the rocker cover with some of this black silicone. I'm then going to put the rocker cover on, get it in finger tight, and leave it for an hour or so before coming to torque it down. Just give it time to go off rather than getting torqued down and squidge out everywhere. Ta-da! So rocker cover back on. It's all finger tight. I'm going to leave it to it now and go get a bite to eat, and then come back and torque this down once the silicone's gone off a bit more, just so it doesn't get squidged out before it's done its job. It did annoyingly drop the little micro 10mm somewhere down there, and obviously being a 10mm socket it's vanished, but I should be able to still get everything done. So back from lunch, left it for about half an hour. I have found the tightening order. Got to do first pass at 17 foot-pound, second pass at 74. I've also done that for the plenum and also the actual intake runner, so I'm going to tighten that up before I do the plenum, because you can't get to it otherwise. I'll put all these torques specs in the description, and if anyone wants the manual that I've been referring to, comment below and I'll send that over. So rocker cover all torqued down as per the torque specs I showed you a minute ago. Got the coils back in. Over here, that was that T-piece with the coolant for the gas regulator, so I've recovered that with some of this heat protective stuff. I've followed back the loom for the gas injectors, done that, and then I'm just going to make everything that little bit tidier as I put it back together, and soon we'll be able to get the plenum back on. I think I've done enough tidying before I can now start torquing up the intake runners. So I'll again, I've got the order, got my torque specs. I'm going to do that, and then get the plenum on, and anything else that needs rearranging I'll kind of do that as I go, but fairly happy with how that's gone. It looks a lot neater, a lot more logical. Just added in the Thermatec plenum spacer, gave that a bit of a clean. When I fitted it before I used copper silicon on this, but I've read that you don't actually need to because the spacer acts as a gasket. So I got the plenum all ready to go. Gonna get that on, all tucked down, then get all the fiddly little bits back in. And there we have it, all wrapped together. Sorry, I kind of ran away with myself then. I'm running out of daylight, so I didn't want to get caught short. But yeah, really pleased. Rearranged a few things, made it a little bit neater, a bit more logical, like I said. I'm not going to fire it up tonight. I'm going to leave it overnight for with the black silicon to dry. Fire it up in the morning. So because I took the throttle body off, I got to do the relearning of the pedal, relearning of the throttle body, and then just for good measure I'll do idle air learn as well, but I'll show you that tomorrow. Right, all in all, we're on day 2. It's 3 degrees in sunny Somerset this morning, so pretty Baltic. Before I do anything, I'm just going to do a quick nut and bolt of everything I moved and manipulated yesterday. Make sure I haven't made any silly mistakes at the end of the day, that kind of thing. Once I'm happy with that, then we'll jump in the cab, we'll do the throttle body relearn and the pedal relearn. I'm going to go for a quick drive to warm it up in order to do the idle air control, and we'll do that through the laptop. So happy with everything in the engine bay. I'm just going to do the throttle body relearn. To do that, ignition on. It doesn't say for how long. I'm going to wait a couple of seconds and then go off. And you should hear the throttle body clicking. I think I heard it. It's quite quiet, but yeah, there's that one. And then to do the foot pedal, which is more of a necessity of the idle relearn than the throttle body relearn. Same again, but you do it twice. So on for 2 seconds. Off for 10. Back on for 2. And off for 10. So I'm just going to let that finish its thing. Then I'm going to fire it up and hopefully everything's going to be good. I'm going to keep it on the ramps for a bit just to let it warm up. Have a look around. Hopefully we solved the leak with the rocker cover gasket, but I'm not too sure. We'll see. Alright, it should be good. Ride straight up. Right, I'm going to go and have a look now. So, all seems good. Down off the ramp, bumper on. I'm going to go for a quick hoon to warm it up a bit before we do this idle relearn. I had a bit of a clunk on the first half of the test lap. You'd never guess what it is. 10mm that I lost. Awesome. So, found the 10mm. Not a major clunk. Right, try again. I just did this and I didn't hit record. Back from the test drive, everything seems okay. Result on finding that 10mm in the middle of the road. I'm about to use Nissan Datascan in order to do the idle relearn. There is a pedal key combination to do that, but I like laptops and computers and stuff, so I prefer to do it this way. I've got my, what I would call a VAGCOM cable, so a USB to OBD plugged in. I've gone to device manager and I can see that my COM port is COM7, so I'm going to use that in Nissan Datascan. I've actually already done this because I've already done it, but settings, communication, COM port 7, so match that number to whatever that number is. Click save, and connect. First time around it actually took a few clicks to connect, I don't know why that was, but you can see connected. And then to do the idle relearn, I'm not going to do idle adjustment, that's manual control, but I'm going to go to work support. I'm going to click clear self learn, so that's clearing whatever's in there already, and then I'm going to click learn. Make sure you got your foot off the throttle when you're doing this, and again this can take a couple of goes. Sometimes it times out, it does it by, oh perfect, I was about to say around about the 120 mark. I've had it go at 240 before, but if it's just going and going and going, probably you need to try it again. So just another thing which you can do with Nissan Datascan, all the logging, so I can log pretty much anything that's going on in the OBD or in ECU. Also good for fault codes, so a nice visual way, it gives you the code easier than well, I like it like this, but anyway. So that's it really. I've done the idle relearn. I'm going to go and pick up my lad in a minute. Hopefully we solve the oil leak. I'm going to give it a look a bit later on, and I've left the under tray off so we can see where it's coming from if it is still leaking. Later on in the week, got more stuff planned. I'm doing an overhaul of some Subaru suspension for a friend of mine, so just a strip paint rebuild. And on this thing I've got a nice set of Brembos to fit and some underneath bracing to hopefully stiffen it up, make it a bit less wallowy. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to put the PDFs that I've used for all the talks and procedures in the description below. If anyone's got a similar PDF for the VQ25DET in English, please let me know. The one which I've been using is for the VQ30, so not actually specific to this one, but they're still useful. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like if you like, don't if you don't. If I've done something wrong along the way and you want to tell me, please do so. Cheers.